my mindset when going out is like, how do I add value to their life? Or how do I, how can I introduce someone to someone else where they're going to benefit?
How do most agents who don't have access to the secrets that the top agents in our industry hoard to themselves grow and prosper in today's real estate environment? That's the question. And this video podcast is the answer. I'm Pat Hyben, and welcome to Real Estate Rockstars.
Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Amuchastegui, and I am back today to interview Francis Mangubat. So Francis is living in one of my favorite cities in the U.S., one of my favorite cities in the world, Philadelphia. I remember the first time I got to go travel there a couple of years ago, kind of with my family. We had just started homeschooling, and it's like, you start seeing all these things, you're like, whoa, Monopoly was based off of Philadelphia, right? You see so much stuff out there as you start to really experience it. So Francis, how's it going, man?
Aaron, it's going really well. I just got done a closing, just got done lunch, and I got my cold brew La Colombe coffee with an espresso shot in it, and it's crazy. Philadelphia, actually, Todd Carmichael, the CEO of La Colombe, signed his first La Colombe on 19th and Walnut. I think he's still locked into a long-term lease, paying $1,900 a month.
Yeah, that is some really crazy stuff. And so much real estate history there. I mean, so much kind of U.S. world history there. So are you from Philadelphia originally?
No. So I was actually born in Manila in the Philippines. I moved to the U.S. when I was 8 years old. Lived in Chicago, Illinois for a year, Buffalo, New York for four years. Grew up in Central Delaware, and I majored in finance at the University of Delaware. And then I graduated in 2016. And at that time I knew I wanted to get into real estate. So I was considering either doing real estate in New York, Los Angeles, or Philadelphia. I picked Philadelphia because I was paying $800 a month for rent living in my buddy's new construction house compared to New York and LA, really high overhead. I'd be paying like $2,500 to $3,000 a month. So just getting out of college, Philadelphia made sense for me.
Yeah, so still a pretty cool, fun city life, but just like a third of the cost of some of those big cities, just a few hour drive away.
Yeah, third of the cost. And I saw the opportunity in the city with owning real estate and development. So I'd say I absolutely made the right decision.
Yeah, so now you've been an agent for, I think you said 4 years, right? 26 years old, really crushing it. How many transactions did you do last year?
So last year we did around 212 transactions, 85 million in volume.
85 million in volume. And so and you do that. And so just 4 years in, I mean, we like saying that at the beginning, just so people know that they should be listening, right? 212 transactions, 85 million. That's big volume out there. So I think you do that yourself or with a team?
Yep. So with a team. So my business partner, he is a general contractor. And, he built like 80 units in the last 2 years. And then our team now is 10 agents and 2 admin, and then definitely looking to grow.
Yeah, as you grow that. So what was your first year like in real estate? So you were already living in Philadelphia. You got your license. Where did you go to work when you first got your license?
So when I first got started, my mentor, his name is Antonio Attican. He is a Wharton alumni. He was the number 4 agent in the country for Prudential, Fox and Roach. They had like 95 million in sales as a team, 35 million in sales himself. So that when I was first getting started, I wanted to learn from someone who is the absolute best. And so my first 9 months in the business, 2016, did like 4 to 4.5 million in sales. And I'd say like 80% buy side.
Rockstar Nation, this is Aaron Amuchastegui. Hey, I hate to interrupt the current podcast that you're listening to, but I am so excited to share this with you. I just finished interviewing the original host of this podcast, my good friend, Pat Hyben. I got to talk to Pat about how he started his real estate career and a whole bunch of tips and tactics that he used to be successful. So if you haven't listened to it yet, go check out State of the Market number 49. On there, I get to talk to Pat about all those different things. And in there too, he talked a lot about his 6 Steps for 7 Figures book and training program that he built over the last couple of years. And I realized I haven't done a good enough job of reminding all of you lately about all of the resources that we've built for you out there. So if you want to check out Pat's course, we've got like a 3-minute summary video when you go to it. It includes so many easy to follow tips that you can follow on it like a day-to-day basis. You get email reminders, all sorts of different things that come with that course. You find that, you go to rebusuniversity.com, REBUS, rebusuniversity.com. Look at courses. You can find the 6 Steps for 7 Figures book. And really, there's a whole bunch of other courses in there too. Our normal prices used to be $1,500 or $2,000 a course. These are real deal professional courses. But now during quarantine, a lot of them are priced down to like $90, $95. So we've slashed the prices because we know right now is a time for everybody to be focusing on growth and education, especially while they're feeling like they don't have as much to do. And if you go in there and you figure like there's a lot of different courses you want, maybe you don't want to buy the a la carte. You can go to futureofrealestatetraining.com and you can get access to all of our different courses for $97 a month. I think there's a discount on there if you go a year, or there's even like a lifetime option that you can pay. You get access to every course we ever put on Rebus University for as long as we have it. So go check out those options, Rebus University or futureofrealestatetraining.com. All right, back to your podcast. Sorry for the interruption.
How did you get those buyer clients your first? Because that's a lot of transactions your first year. I mean, you had a good mentor that got to guide you, but how would you go get those buyer clients?
So definitely open houses. I would do 4 every single weekend. No excuses. I would do 11 to 1 and then 1:30 to 3:30 every single weekend. And I'd say I had a business and I made money while in college, so I had a really good amount of savings set aside. So I actually did like breakfast, lunch, and dinner out every single day with someone of influence, and like most people that did better financially than me. So I was able to build a very strong network of referrals right away.
That's really interesting. So at the very beginning, you did 4 open houses a weekend. So that's a really, like if somebody's going to set up a goal list or kind of like this is what I should do, right? 4 open houses a weekend. That's simple. 4 different houses, going out there and getting yourself out there. And then you also said that essentially every meal, so breakfast, lunch, dinner, you made it an intention to say, who am I going to go to lunch with right now? Who am I going to go to dinner with right now? A lot of people wouldn't think about that as like part of your goal list and part of the way to broaden that. I think that's a unique perspective to say you were super intentional about making sure you always had meals with new influential people and doing those open houses. Anything else that you thought that you can think of in that first year that helped you get some of those extra clients?
So what I would say, Aaron, is that I made like to go hand in hand with the eating out every single meal. The top agents that were in my brokerage, like Sky Michaels, who had like a $60 million a year team. Kristen Daly, my friend, did like 30-40 million a year team. Noah Ostroff, who at one point had a $250 million a year team. I was taking them out to like lunch, dinner. And it wasn't like, hey, let's go to like McDonald's for lunch or dinner. I'd take them to like the nicest places like Barclay Prime, where they have a $120 cheesesteak, just so, they would remember me. And for me, I want to add value to their life and what they're doing. Just because anyone who makes $1 million a year, their time's worth $500 an hour. So if I'm taking them out to a 2-hour lunch, it's technically $1,000 that I'm netting in my pocket. And what's dinner going to cost for that? It's like $200-$300. So I'm actually benefiting more from learning from them and having them take 2 hours of their day to kind of help me and do me a favor.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that perspective and that thinking behind it. So you kind of really quickly said you had a business in college that helped you get that savings. What was that business that you had in college?
Yeah, so I did direct sales for a company, Isogenics. It's a health and wellness company. And then I worked at JP Morgan. I was making $25 an hour interning. So I made like 70 grand my senior year, which was
you're doing that while you're going to school. What's funny is that you were actually able to stop doing that. I think a lot of people at 22, if they're making 70 grand a year, they're like, why do anything different? Right? Like, why should I change? I think a lot of people think that's doing really, really well. At that time, did you ever think of, hey, maybe I should just keep working at JP Morgan and doing this? Or did you know for sure it's like, no, real estate was going to be your thing?
Yeah. So I knew that JP Morgan was not the move because Delaware is like, middle middle business school. It's not like the Ivies and like Harvard and NYU that, JP Morgan and like their front office or the big investment banks and hedge funds are recruiting out of those schools. Like the back office and let's say big four accounting firms recruited out of Delaware. And, I'd say you're on a track to make six figures by like late 20s. And so for me, I just knew that I could do better. And so like I met this guy, Aaron Biles, who's a really good friend of mine. He was the number one agent on Antonio's team. He was doing 10 million a year in sales consistently. Say, all right, 10 million in sales. He's making over 200 grand. He's doing better than my mom, who's an OBGYN and went through, medical school residency. And basically, she didn't start making a couple $100,000 a year until she was in her like mid 30s. So that's why real estate made a lot of sense for me to get in.
That's a really interesting comparison. So you got to see somebody here and go, wait, he's doing really, really good. And my mom has a medical degree and it's the same. And you're like, but really, I mean, you had just got your college degree, but people can get into real estate with no degree, right? They can jump right into it. 18 years old. Like there isn't a business in the world like that you can go make a couple $100,000 a year with no degree. Or maybe there is, but I don't know what it is.
So Aaron, what's really funny is that my buddy Aaron Biles, he actually dropped out of Penn State. But, he tells everyone he went to Penn State, and then no one asked, hey, did you actually graduate from Penn State?
Yeah.
And then, the second thing, I kind of looked at my career and I thought, hey, if I don't make any money for 4 years, I'm still doing better than if I were to go pay $200,000 to go, be a physician. But I also think that most physicians go to school just because they want to make an impact on the world and, look at, all the frontline COVID warriors that are just saving the planet. So I think it's more honorable or
I think you're right. I think in fairness, I think of stuff in money, a lot of sense, right? I think of a lot of value.
Yeah, me too.
But you're right. A doctor doesn't necessarily go become a doctor because of the money. They also, I think they love what they do. I think most attorneys probably do it for the money, but I guess that as we get there, so it says you're ranked number 5 for volume in Philadelphia. When was that? Was that the last couple of years?
That was June of 2020.
So June of 2020, ranked number 5 in volume for Philadelphia. And there's a lot of people doing real estate out there. Now, you also own real estate out here. So you're also an investor, right? So tell me a little bit about your investments.
So Aaron, I ended up buying a house every single year, primary residence, getting the best financing. And then after a year, I'll go move out and do another one. And so I'd say that that's the best move to make if you're, just getting started and aren't making a whole lot of money. And then once you start making money and you have just hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in the bank, that's when you can start to do more complex transactions. So right now I'm actually, building my own house. It's in the northern part of Graduate Hospital, which is a 10-minute walk to Rittenhouse Square, which is like the premium Philadelphia location. It's kind of comparable to Central Park in New York. But I'll be in my house for $700,000 to $750,000 all in, acquisition, hard cost, soft cost, and it'll be worth $1 million to 1.1, and then live in it for 2 years, sell it, take $250,000 tax free, which is like making $450,000 ordinary income.
Yeah. So people that are listening out there, so that's the idea of if you own a house for over 2 years before you sell it, it's taxed at such a smaller rate. That it's similar to making less money that's taxed at that normal rate, right?
Yeah, and so that's one of the deals. And then I'm fortunate to where my clients are some of the most successful and most sophisticated developers in Philadelphia. So I invest with my clients too. We have a project where it's we're building 3 houses for $1.5 million each. And then I'm going to invest in another one of my clients, which is it's 25 units with 17 parking spots. Just a broad overview of everything. I'd say that one of my very, very good friends from high school, he works at Centerview Partners, or he used to work there. One of the most prestigious investment banks in the world. I said, hey, the principals of your company are billionaires, and like you are around some of the most sophisticated people in the world. What have you learned from them about personal finance and personal investing? And then he's like, well, it's just like, what's your IRR on investments? So that's just what I look at. Like, where am I going to hit the highest IRR?
Yeah. And when you end up investing with your partner, so it started as you were an agent, and then you would, buy a house every year and you'd live in it. The next year you would like keep it, rent it, buy another house, keep the good interest rate. If you sold a house, you'd wait for 2 years to make sure that you got that. But so then you met some along the way. Some developers became your clients and your friends. And when you invest with them alongside their projects, like they're going to build 3 custom homes and they're going to sell them, are you also the agent that sells them at that point? Does someone on your team do that?
Yes.
Or is that totally different?
No, it's me.
Okay.
Yeah, I work like 80 to 100 hours a week.
Yeah. So and I think too, is that's probably a way that some agents can get more business, right? Like finding the developers, saying, hey, let me invest alongside you. What do you need to do that development? And then to be able to get that. Were you listing houses for these people before you became an investor for them?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say, raising capital for developers is, definitely above and beyond the scope of being an agent. So I'd say like the developers that I'm closest with and that I go like above and beyond for, it's a two-way street. So when I think when there's a new agent and you just get your license and a developer tells you, well, if you find me a deal, then, you can list it, down the road. Whereas like a very seasoned agent like myself, that's not really that appealing anymore because I have a ton of, buyers and sellers that want to go sell houses. Like earlier this year, I gave, an agent on my team a lead for 1.1 million. I mean, I give leads for like 800,000. Just this weekend, just gave a listing for 350,000. So I'd say the developers that I take on and go above and beyond, like I go and get friends of mine to go support their projects when they're trying to get a variance for units, or I'm coming up with, helping them out with their pro formas and helping them select finishes. Those are, I'd say like really, really good clients of mine where if they go and pick up other stuff, they're definitely going to sell that through me. Like if they go find it elsewhere. So I'd say I have a lot of very, very loyal clients too. And I take mental notes and, I know who's loyal and who's not. And, the most loyal ones get the best in return for me.
Hey, Real Estate Rockstars listeners, I'm sorry to interrupt again, but I want to do a quick commercial break. But this commercial break is different. This is stuff that I think you need, and this is me talking to you about some of the stuff that we had. So, recently we had a lot of people reach out to us and say, hey, why don't you do a real estate mastermind? Why don't you do something where a lot of the listeners can get together and do some Zoom calls and ask each other questions and really just try to brainstorm and work together? I mean, there's a million masterminds out there. I don't know if this is something that we really want to do or not, or if we do, if we're going to limit it to maybe 20 or 30 people. We're just trying to figure out if any of you guys are interested. So if you have any interest at all in joining a mastermind with real estate agents around the country that are part of the Real Estate Rockstars network, go to hybendigital.com/mastermind and just join the wait list. It's just a form. It's just an interest list for us to see, is this something we want to be doing? So that's number one. Number two, you go to hybendigital.com/foreclosures. We have a 2-day thing that we just finished recording. Now it's also inside Rebus University. And so you can go to Rebus University and look at it. If you're already a member of Rebus, a lot of you guys are in the, the monthly fee where you get access to everything. So we have new courses in there, 17 hours of content on how to buy foreclosures, on how to find deals, on how to, do title, go to auction, also turn that into clients for your real estate agents, how you can turn somebody that's in default behind on their mortgages into a client. So go, check out that course, especially for, you can buy the course now, but again, most of you guys already subscribed to all that. I just wanted you to know there's another 17 hours of content, great content that I just recorded on there. That all of you guys have access to now at Rebus University. And then finally, we have software that we talk about on and off. It's called Padhawk. And in Padhawk, you can use that to go find leads. So everyone is really, really busy right now. And we're so busy. People are selling and they're saying there isn't enough product on the market. right? So they can't find houses. Well, Paddock will help you find houses before they're listed. It helps you find owners that should be listing their properties or people that might want to get there. I recorded a quick video. It's like 6 or 7 minutes long for you guys to look at, real estate agent specific, on how you can use the software in order to do it. So let's go to hibandigital.com/leads. Again, there's a video in there. I talk about how you can use the software to do it. Check it out. If it's something that you like, you may want to sign up for it. $99 a month, but it's nationwide, any city out there, and it is a great way to find houses. So right now, people are saying there's lots of buyers, but we can't find enough houses. Well, maybe you can use this software to go find somebody that hasn't listed yet and make them an offer on their house. All right, back to your regularly scheduled program. Thank you for letting me interrupt you with that break.
Yeah. We've had a few people come on and talk about the idea of having some clients that are, sellers, some that are buyers, but also having some clients that are investors. Because investors, a client, if you help them buy or sell a house, there's a decent chance that every few years you could be their client again. But an investor, client, there's a chance that you could sell 2 or 3 houses for them every single year, right? And so giving them, do you feel like you give them, did you narrow in on them early on and say, hey, if I can do a really good job for this investor, he's going to get me a lot more leads?
Yeah, I mean, so I actually have 2 clients from North New Jersey and like New York City, Alpine area, where they both started with, they just built 8 houses to kind of get started, get their feet wet in the Philadelphia market. And they gave me like a test. They gave me 1 house to sell. It was in Fishtown, which Forbes named hottest neighborhood in America like 2-3 years ago. So I sold that house when it was drywalled, and I'd say that opened up the opportunity to the other 8 units. And it's funny, now both guys they split their partnership, but they're doing 50 units themselves. So yeah, I have a fair amount of clients that have that type of experience. I mean, I work with, bigger developers. I mean, maybe not as big as like Ryan Serhant, where you're selling out, where you have a building that's like a couple $1 billion in out sales.
Yeah. It's one of the, when you get one of those kind of clients where you get to sell out for those developers, it adds up. It still might even be a test though, right? Like I was selling 5 houses out in Sacramento, and there were houses that we built. And the first one, when I hired an agent for it that was a friend of mine, but at the beginning it was like, hey, we'll have you do one, right? And if you do a great job, then maybe we'll do the other ones. And she worked so hard on that first one, doing everything to get it sold. Then it made it really simple to say, okay, you can now list the next 4, and that one deal turns into 5. So I think as people go out and work extra hard, people should work extra hard for their clients no matter what. Because if you do a really good job, they tell friends, they tell people, and it builds. But there are also some clients out there that are going to do a lot of transactions in the same year. You talked about having $1 million lead and giving it to someone on your team. When you do something like that, is it just hey, here's the lead and you do it? Do you do referral fees when you pass leads on to people when you're too busy? What are people doing when they do that?
Yeah, so on my team, leads that are generated by the team, which is like me, my partner, and I think we've given away maybe like 7. We'll probably give away like 7 to 10 million of business this year just from like our network. Mm-hmm. But it's at a 50% split for our team.
Okay.
Some people do lower, some people do higher.
What percentage of your listings are from your developers right now?
Say 70%.
And what about the other 30% of business that you're doing? Where are you getting? Is it buy side? Is it sell side? What are you doing?
So I'd say I'm 70% listings, 30% buyers. And then my 70% of my business is listings. I'd say 70% of that is from developers and the other 30% is Sphere. And then I'd say my 30% of buyers are all Sphere. Like all my business is Sphere of influence.
Are those buyers mostly trying to get houses, or are those buyers also investors trying to get deals and invest places?
Both. Okay. Yeah. And I'd say it's like one of the things that I've been fortunate to be able to do is I guess now I'm in like I don't know how to call it, like the high income, like Philadelphia friend group, to where, like I have friends all the time who want to go buy houses like $500,000 to $1 million. And it's a great, it's great to be in the network or in the friend group.
Yeah. But that was a friend group. I mean, you were intentional about building that group, right?
Absolutely.
You wanted to go, because a lot of people will say, housing prices aren't that here, or, hey, I don't have a bunch of friends that can buy $500,000 $1 million houses. But you didn't either when you started getting into real estate. I mean, you told the story at the beginning, how intentional you were about taking people out to lunch and becoming friends with them and then being able to get invited. And so I think that that's an important caveat to remind people, right? Like, your friend group has brought you huge, huge deals now, but you building a high net worth friend group, that wasn't just handed to you. You built that, you worked hard for it, and now it's paying off in spades.
Absolutely. And what I would say, Aaron, to that is that my intention when I was going out and grabbing lunch and stuff, it's not to hey, let me do this so I can go and get business in return. Because I always had money, even when I first started. So my mindset when going out is how do I add value to their life, or how do I, how can I introduce someone to someone else where they're going to benefit? And I'd say that has really helped me out. I'd say I have a lot of people that go out of the way to, I'd say it's better to be owed favors than you owing someone else favors. So I have a lot of people who owe me favors and it's kind of when you go and pick up the phone, is the other person going to pick the phone up right away, or are they going to reply with some automated text message and they'll call you later down the road? So I always, like to add so much value that when I'm calling, they're going to pick up right away, or they're going to text me, hey, I can chat in 30 minutes.
Yeah. It makes so much sense. So average sales price where you're at, what's it at for? I mean, you're doing all sorts of different versions, but of your 112 transactions?
I'd say, for the team, maybe 400,000.
Yeah.
400,000. I'd say mine's probably higher than that.
So a lot of people, so you talk about having this friend group and you're getting a lot of listings from that. There's a lot of people out there that don't want to ask their friends for business, right? They're they don't want to come off pushy and that sort of thing. How do you make sure that your friends come to you? How do you make sure they know you're in real estate? Because there's probably a few guys in your network that also do real estate. So have you struggled with that at all? Being able to tell somebody hey, as a reminder, hey, I'm an agent. If you're thinking about it, I should be your guy. Is it like that?
It's funny. I never even tell people that I'm in real estate. I actually make it a point not to tell people what I do and that I'm in real estate. But I'd say I have a very strong social media presence, and I'm almost like an influencer that it's just kind of who I am. And I'd say when people are introducing me now to friends and stuff, they're you got to work with Francis. And it's kind of just a part of who I am. So I actually make it a point not to tell people that I'm in real estate, which is, I think, the opposite of what training is to all new agents.
Yeah. There's a lot of training out there that says you have to go do the ask. So when you meet somebody, I mean, I guess people are always asking, but if you just meet somebody and say it's a new friend, you're not going to talk about real estate. You're not going to talk about what you did this week. If they go find you on social media, is it obvious on your social media that you do real estate?
Yeah. So let me pull up my Instagram background. It's my Instagram bio. So it's Advanced Philly co-founder, 85 million real estate team, real estate investor, proud UDL alum. So
I guess that way, if you're just meeting people and not telling them, right, and they go find you on social media and become friends, then they're going to be oh, all right, Francis does real estate, right? So that way you don't have to do a hard sale when you meet them, because that sale could happen later. It's kind of in their face there.
And what I would say, Aaron, too, is that I guess I make a very strong first impression. I'd say New York and LA are very super stylish, and Philadelphia is not, but I'd say I do carry the New York and LA swag. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, and then it's funny, if we're grabbing happy hour or someone, I think most people already know that I do well in real estate. So, and what I think about real estate too, it's a very sexy topic to speak about. Like, people want to know more, and you look at the shows like, $1 million listing and all the flip shows and selling sunset. People love to talk about real estate. So like most of the time people are just asking me, I feel like financial planning and insurance, like people hate talking about, but with real estate, it's like people are just always asking.
Oh yeah. I mean, and TV is totally, amplified that. Every time I tell somebody that I flip houses, they're always like, do you know Chip and Joe? Have you seen this show? Like what everything, there's so many, flip this house, and there is, real TV has made real estate a lot more exciting, a lot more fun. And I think you're right that people do like talking about it. They like thinking about it. They're becoming investors, becoming agents, all sorts of different things. So what advice would you give to new agents getting started, right? So you're 4 years in, you're doing really, really well. You were able to find a mentor early on, and you had success pretty quickly in that first year. That's not normal. A lot of the 30 under 30 people we've been interviewing the last week, they did have really strong first couple of years, but most people in real estate don't have that. So what would you be telling somebody that's just getting started? They're a few months in, they aren't really seeing that yet. What advice would you give them on how to start getting busy in real estate?
What I would say, Aaron, is you go find the number one, number two, number three people in your market, and you literally beg them to get a spot on their team. Okay.
Just find the people who are there and say, hey, I just want to be on your team. I just want to be in your network, because maybe they're going to get you some leads and you're going to learn the system.
I wouldn't even say leads, because I'd rather be taught how to fish than be given fish. My little brother is on my team, and he hasn't gotten a single for sale lead from me, because for our team, we don't do a round robin on leads. It's the best agents get the best leads. Catherine on our team, she did $25 million in sales last year. She's the one that got the $1.1 million lead. So, there's just so much to learn from top producers. And, it's funny, my good buddy, Mike McCann, I think he did $380 million in, sales last year. Probably one of the top Keller Williams agents in the country. He was previously the number one agent at Berkshire Hathaway. I've learned so much from him. And, it's funny. I'm like, dude, you could have had me on your team. You were my first cold call, to get started, because you were the number one agent. But I get it. Top producers are so busy, and phones are always blowing up, that it's really hard for a top producer to take a new agent.
Yeah. I think that's great advice, though. I don't remember hearing that anytime recently with any of our guests on there, and it is a different perspective. So if people are getting started, find those people that are really crushing it in your market, reach out to all of them and say, hey, I want to be on your team. And if you get your foot in the door, then you get to start trying to see how you can provide that value too. So what about, we have a fun question sometimes. It's so if you were on stage giving a TED talk, right? If you had, what's your elevator pitch of what you would say? It could be real estate, it could be life skills, anything. So you've had a lot of success in your life. You've tried a lot of different things. What's your 3 minutes of advice that you would give just anybody, right? So here's your stage, and what would be the most important thing to tell them?
So Aaron, I actually did a TED Talk 4 years ago in 2016. And the TED Talk was on the importance of mentors.
Okay.
And it's crazy that you asked that question, because I feel like I'm learning from mentors every single day. And I've learned so much from my clients and colleagues that are real estate agents as well. And I'd say where the importance of mentors is really applied to me is I'm a member at this social club in Philadelphia, the Fitler Club. It's kind of similar to the Soho House. Really amazing, spectacular club. And through the club started this mentorship program. So I just got accepted to be a mentee of Dean Adler, who he has his own real estate private equity developer company, Lubert Adler, where I think their equity positions are worth $7 billion. He actually owns this whole building. So looking forward to learning a lot more too.
Yeah. So the power of mentors, and that goes to a lot of the different questions and things you've talked about, right? Is not trying to learn it alone, right? You did that your very first year in real estate. You were like, hey, who can be my mentor and who can teach me? And even right now, when you're like, what advice could you give someone to go find that person and mentor? So that's obviously something that's brought you a lot of success. And what should that conversation be like when people are reaching out and saying, hey, can you be my mentor? Like, how do you reach out to somebody and, you're a no name, they're crushing it. And how do you say,
right.
How do you sell yourself to have them be your mentor?
It's really funny. Like the way that I do it, because I'm totally like no pressure salesperson at all. I'll give you an example. This time last year, like my go-to mortgage guy, Rob, he'll probably do like 140 million worth of loans this year. His neighbor is one of my best friends to this day. He's like an ultra luxury real estate developer. He just sold a $2 million house to a Fortune 100 CEO. But I have a real estate deal for him where it's like an 8,000 square foot shell in the most prestigious street here in Philadelphia. So Rob introduces the two of us. I go out and meet Max, who's one of my best friends now. So he pulls up in his car and it's like a blacked out like BMW X5. He's blaring like rap music, like illegally parks like on the sidewalk. And I'm like, dude, like you're a pretty cool guy. So we just started being friends, just started, working out in the morning, like started, going out to happy hours and to events and stuff. And we're both members here at the Fitler Club. But I'd say like, it wasn't like an official like mentor mentee position, but like whenever I just want him to go take a look at, I had a question about something. Like right now I'm building my own house and like he's giving me feedback on like what shit cost and like what pricing, what pricing can I get? And then like now he's passing me along and helping me get some of his pricing. So I'd say in every aspect, like I'd say it's just better to be friends with people rather than be like a mentor, an official like mentor mentee type of thing. Like I'll give you an example. I have there's like 4 like incredibly successful like athletes that live in my building. 1, 2, 3 of them have signed contracts worth over $150 million. Like when I've seen them, I'm never like, oh dude, let me take a selfie. I just like casually say what's up because I don't want to be a fan. I want to be a friend. Or like, I don't want to be like that annoying guy that's like trying to ask for autographs. It's just like, I don't know, play cool.
Yeah, I like that. I don't want to be a fan. I want to be a friend. And so as you're intentional about reaching out and who you can get to, but I guess, and it's just going to come down to volume and numbers too. You might have to, if you really need a mentor, you might have to reach out to 10 people. You're not doing the hard sell to find that mentor that wants in, but then it can create, an even better relationship. So Francis, so if people want to reach out to you, if they're like, hey, I want to join your team in Philadelphia. They want to just find you, follow some of what you're doing. What is the best way for people to reach out to you?
Okay, so I'd say the best way to get connected is to follow me on Instagram at Francis Mangubat, just because I post like literally my everyday life on Instagram. Second thing is YouTube. Subscribe like at Francis Mangubat. I'm posting like everything that I learn. The video guy that follows me around with $10,000 camera, putting up a video every single week. And then the last thing I'd say, if you want to get a hold of me, shoot me an email at my personal email. That's Francis@advancedphilly.com.
Francis@advancedphilly.com. And you said and that was the other kind of free gift that we talk about. We bring something of value on here. And you said your YouTube link was a big thing where people can go on and learn all sorts of stuff and just see more of the life of what you do and how you do it.
Yeah, like I put videos of exactly like how I bought my first house, 7 steps, from where I started, and then. Recently, I have like a 37-minute video on how I became a self-made millionaire at 25, not knowing anyone in Philly.
That's a big one, right? How to become a self-made millionaire at 25. That is going to stick out. Well, Francis, I think our listeners for this episode, I think they're going to learn a lot. I think there is a different perspective than what we've heard on here recently. Such an important part of finding a good mentor, finding a good team, and getting guidance from other people in order to be successful. And that's something that, you talked about, you gave your TED Talk for it several years ago, and that was what it was. And since then, you've been an agent for 4 years. You followed your own advice. and you've really been crushing it. So congratulations on doing so good. Thank you for coming on the Real Estate Rockstars podcast, Francis, and maybe we'll have you back again soon. You can tell us what's new.
Yeah, Aaron, thanks for having me on.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Rockstar Nation, thank you for listening to Real Estate Rockstars. Listen, I need a favor. If you find this free content helpful, if you find our downloadable items from each guest helpful, please, I need you to pull out your pointing finger. Yes, the one finger that points at people, and hit subscribe. Yes, subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the better we look in the ratings, and the easier it is to get guests like Robert Kiyosaki, Barbara Corcoran, all the players that are on $1 million listing in the different cities. All that stuff makes it easier the more subscribers we get. So please subscribe. And listen, there's a lot of places you can leave comments. There's a lot of places you can like. We're on Facebook. We have an Instagram page. Instagram page is I am Pat Hyben. The Facebook is Real Estate Rockstars Radio. Feel free to leave us comments there. The most popular form of commenting seems to happen on YouTube. Yes, for whatever reason, it's a very open environment. So just go to YouTube and go to Real Estate Rockstars Radio. Leave us comments there. Some of them we will read on the show. We love your feedback. So thanks, guys, and I hope you are having a great day. Oh, and also, listen, if you're going to subscribe and you haven't already left a review on iTunes, please do that too. Have a great day, and thanks so much, Rockstar Nation. I really appreciate you.